It seems we've all had a pretty good idea of what it means when food is organic. There used to be jokes about how everything alive is organic, so it must be a sham certification that only rich hipsters buy into, or something. As the 2000s zoomed on by, though, more and more people were being exposed to the truth. Pesticides and herbicides are wrecking our health and the environment, and GMOs are highly questionable, to say the least. Why play around? Eat safe, right? Well, let's take a look at what organic is proclaimed to mean, as so stated on the USDA's own What is Organic PDF document and website by the same name. Organic is a labeling term that indicates that the food or other agricultural product has been produced through approved methods. These methods integrate cultural, biological, and mechanical practices that foster cycling of resources, promote ecological balance, and conserve biodiversity. Synthetic fertilizers, sewage sludge, irradiation, and genetic engineering may not be used. Well, this sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, it should. It was designed to. It is interesting to note that one of the key points of practice, though, most organic consumers appreciate, the prohibition of pesticides and herbicides, is not even mentioned here. That's not the only slip-up, though, that the USDA makes in their proclamations regarding organics. This document is available on the USDA NOP website to everybody, but it's targeted for organic crop producers, so most consumers don't even know it exists. It's a tad brief, but it gets to the point, and I've got a quote from the bottom of page 7 into page 8 that's of interest. Chapter 9, the National List of Allowed and Prohibited Substances, explains how to determine if a product is allowed or prohibited. Certain practices, while not allowed in organic production, would not constitute application of a prohibited material, and so would not render land ineligible for certification during the transition period. Examples include the use of non-organic seed or planting stock, application of manure to a food crop within 90 days of harvest, and cultivation of genetically modified crops. Wait, so you can be using non-organic seed or planting stock, manure of any kind, within 90 days of harvest, and be cultivating genetically modified crops as you are being certified for organic practice and into your certification, and that's legitimate. All right, this is curious. Let's look at that PR statement again. The bottom here. Synthetic fertilizers, sewage sludge irradiation, and genetic engineering may not be used. Apparently we have some further investigation to do. The Electronic Code of Federal Regulations contains more regulations, more statutes, for so many aspects of daily American life than you could possibly fathom. I took my liberty to browse its contents as relate to the National Organic Program. Organic, as defined in the Terms Defined section of the National Organic Program list of regulations, is this: a labeling term that refers to an agricultural product produced in accordance with the Act and the regulations in this part. Alright, so this tells me that the term organic is loaded to begin with. It does not refer to, for example, a plant or animal whose genetic lineage has never been submitted to genetic modification of any kind before or during engagement with the National Organic Program. Far from it, in fact, as we've already seen. Further down the rabbit hole we go. This is from Subpart A, Definitions, Statute 205.2, Terms Defined. Excluded methods. I see. A variety of methods used to genetically modify organisms or influence their growth and development by means that are not possible under natural conditions or processes and are not considered compatible with organic production. Such methods include cell fusion, microencapsulation and macroencapsulation, recombinant DNA technology, so on and so forth. Genetic modification. So that is the slip up. That's the big slip up right there. What we have are excluded methods, but not excluded life forms. So we see the point of our confusion. Let's go word for word on this section, 205.204, Seeds and Planting Stock Practice Standard. A. The producer must use organically grown seeds, annual seedlings, and planting stock, except, okay, that 1. Non-organically produced untreated seeds and planting stock may be used to produce an organic crop when an equivalent organically produced variety is not commercially available, except that organically produced seed must be used for the production of edible sprouts. So let's keep in mind still what organic means after we've had a look at that. Basically, we're saying here that seeds and stock which are simply not in the program as certified organic, which doesn't imply there's any difference between the two, can be used when so on and so forth here. And for whatever undisclosed reason, organic seeds are used only for sprouts. Is it meant that the originally non-organic seeds in stock within organic production will produce organic seed? We've got some twisted logic here. How about two? Non-organically produced seeds and planting stock that have been treated with a substance included on the national list of synthetic substances allowed for use in organic crop production may be used to produce an organic crop when an equivalent organically produced or untreated variety is not commercially available, which is a similar rule. Three, non-organically produced annual seedlings may be used to produce an organic crop when a temporary variance has been granted in accordance with 205.290A2, which, if you look at the bottom here, is damage caused by drought, wind, flood, excessive moisture, hail, tornado, earthquake, fire, or other business interruption. Okay, so any of these circumstances can allow a producer to use non-organic annual seedlings? This is a more apparent loophole since business interruption is not even defined. Anything from a lack of staff or faulty equipment to corporate expense mismanagement can be considered a business interruption in court where these statutes matter. Okay, back to it. 4. Non-organically produced planting stock to be used to produce a perennial crop, such as potatoes, sweet potatoes, may be sold, labeled, or represented as organically produced only after the planting stock has been maintained under a system of organic management for a period of no less than a year? And 5. Seeds, annual seedlings, and planting stock treated with prohibited substances may be used to produce an organic crop when the application of the materials is a requirement of federal or state phytosanitary regulations. So with 4, a perennial can come back year after year bearing the same GMOs that it came into the program with. That's great. And 5, there's a nice catch there. Any plant phase in crop production, which may already have GMOs as we've outlined, may also get the pesticides, depending on undisclosed necessities. And there's no mention about informing the public. How about the origin of livestock? Treachery here. Alright, livestock products that are to be sold, labeled, or represented as organic must be from livestock under continuous organic management from the last third of gestation or hatching, except that poultry or edible products must be from poultry that's been under continuous organic management beginning no later than the second day of life. Again, not for the entirety of life. And then dairy animals. Milk or milk products must be from animals that have been under continuous organic management beginning no later than 1 year prior to the production of the milk or milk products that are to be sold, labeled, or represented as organic, except that crops and forage from land included in the organic system plan of any dairy farm that is in the third year of organic management may be consumed by the dairy animals of the farm during the 12-month period immediately prior to the sale of organic milk and milk products. And then breeder stock. Livestock used as breeder stock may be brought from a non-organic operation onto an organic operation at any time, provided that if such livestock are gestating and the offspring are to be raised as organic livestock, the breeder stock must be brought onto the facility no later than the last third of gestation. These animals can be interventionally or by birth genetically modified, even farmed with a pH, hormone altered, exposed to GMOs and pesticides, and all before enrollment in the NOP within certain deadlines. What a safeguard. I think we need to distinguish between pesticide-free, USDA organic, mostly, and non-GMO, at the very least. The non-GMO project organization does testing that covers 99.1% of genes to guarantee that level of health and environmental security. They review and label many foods today, and the list is growing, so keep your eyes peeled. If their label coexists with a USDA organic label, all the better. If there was one label that gave such assurance to all the foods we thought had such assurances already, we could find comfort and faith. Now, if you take a look at a policy memorandum that was created by the Deputy Director, Miles McAvoy, of the National Organic Program in response to many concerns from the public and from organizations regarding GMOs possibly being in organics, we have some interesting things to cover. One section says the use of GMOs is prohibited in organic production and handling. The NOP regulations prohibit the use of GMOs as excluded methods under 205.105, which we've looked at, and the use of excluded methods, such as planting genetically modified seeds, would require a specific intent and would render any product ineligible for organic certification. As I've written here, we've already gone over that section, and this is not a total truth. Planting genetically modified seeds, for example, is not an explicitly excluded method, and neither is using them. Only the process, the method, as it were, of genetic modification is prohibited. Let us be clear. Furthermore, it seems that outsourced certifying agents handle everything in regards to GMO detection and safeguards from them. Certifying agents attest to the ability of organic operations to follow a set of production standards and practices which meet the requirements of the Organic Foods Production Act of 1990 and the NOP regulations, and if all aspects of the organic production or handling process were followed correctly, then the presence of a detectable residue from a genetically modified organism alone does not constitute a violation of this regulation. That's kind of frustrating. In fact, even though certifying agents evaluate the preventative practices and buffer zones of the producer's farm, that is, to determine if they're adequate to avoid contact with GMOs, and they are responsible for working with organic producers to identify the source of any inadvertent GMOs and to implement improvements to avoid contact with GMOs in the future, if the seeds or stocks are in fact tested for the presence of GMOs, the NOP regulations only establish a tolerance for the presence of pesticides registered by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency that is set at 5% of EPA tolerance levels for the specific residue detected, whereas no federal agency, including EPA or USDA, has established tolerance levels for the inadvertent presence of the products of excluded methods. So if a certifying agent found GMOs in a company's stock or product, that company might get a slap on the wrist depending on the agent and would otherwise lawfully get to keep their organic certification, as is outlined towards the top of this. Once again, the use of excluded methods such as planting genetically modified seeds would render any product ineligible for organic certification. However, the presence of a detectable residue from a genetically modified organism alone does not constitute a violation of this regulation. And so, once again, excluded methods is skewed, and then the presence of a GMO doesn't give you any kind of penalty. So, as a finishing touch, I'd like to add this before getting to some campaign information. The Council Regulation EC number 834-2007, that is the 28th of June 2007, from the Official Journal of the European Union on organic production and labeling of organic products, and repealing a prior regulation. We have here, after 1 through 7, immediately following that particular set of verbiage, skip to 9, genetically modified organisms and products produced from or by GMOs are incompatible with the concept of organic production and consumers' perception of organic products. They should therefore not be used in organic farming or in the processing of organic products. And still, further on, Article 4A.3, organic production shall be based on the following principles. Exclude the use of GMOs and products produced from or by them, with the exception of veterinary medical products. Speaking of certification that puts these two labels in one, we have a candidate. This is music to my ears. Isn't that an interesting bit that the EU organics are not found in the most prominent of health food stores in the United States? Indeed it is. This is another fight. For now, we go one step at a time. I've initiated a petitioning process as of the 11th of April 2013. It goes directly to the Deputy Administrator of the NOP, Miles McAvoy, the one who wrote that memorandum, when enough signatures are gathered. The demand is for transparency. It's important enough for the USDA to simply advertise these truths, and the rest will follow. Here's a list obtained from the NOP website of contacts in Mr. McAvoy's office. Feel free to contact them about this information, and if you do so, please let them know that a petition is picking up steam and many people and important food product organizations have been made aware already. In the additional staff, as I've got some more contacts listed here, you'll find equally crucial individuals to contact for winning this small battle. If you want to discover how many organizations have documented that they have GMOs in their products. Get instructions on how to do so from the Freedom of Information Act officer. If you don't know what the FOIA is, the Freedom of Information Act is, you should. It is a great tool to get information on just about anything in governmental actions or policies outside of what is classified, usually for some small fee. And if you're a student and you're running some kind of project, you could probably do it for free. To conclude, I just would like to once again show you this slide. Take a visit to chirologic.com to gander at the document that this video was based on. Feel free to download it, to print it, to share it, spread it far and wide. Just don't forget to include my name on that document. It is covered under a Creative Commons copyright. And visit the Facebook community, become part of that, and further share this information through that outlet to get involved with more people that you may or may not know, and through their link to the USDA petition as well, which is on change.org. Thank you for your time. I hope this has helped you and yours, and good luck in spreading it around. Hopefully we can get enough signatures, make things happen.